People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. You always just happy when like defenders have been given like.
Oh, no, man.
Are we live? Of course we're live. People, deluded, I'm back again. First things first, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course good night, considering where you guys are at this moment in time. Big up the Twitch gang. Make sure you're hitting up Amazon Prime. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and smash the like button. Better than that, let me know your thoughts on the Leverkusen game, on any talking points that I might provoke from you lot, and everything we go over. Now, obviously, for me, I will go as far as to say, for me, the Leverkusen game where we won 4-1, if you've been under a tree, for me personally, I think that's the best performance we've put in pre-season so far, which is obviously good because we've got the Lyon game on Sunday and then it's showtime against Wolves and so on and so forth, 38-game calendar and all the other comps. Now, on that, the most disappointing thing I could say is that we conceded a goal. Again, big up you lot that are part of my watch along. I think anyone who understands football knows with the amount of changes we made at that point with the back line, there was going to be a goal conceded. And, you know, for those that are at the game, they told me Raya was actually concentrating on the Mexican wave. So maybe Raya could have done better. But that's the biggest criticism. No, take nothing away from Arsenal's performance, but we look sharper than Leipzig. We look more ahead in our pre-season preparations. Focusing on us, I think we pressed very well, as shown with Trossard's goal. I think Zinchenko did very well yesterday as well, even though they were looking to get him down the right-hand side. I think Odegaard put in a wonderful performance. I think Gabriel Jesus did his thing. Who else did well? Kai Havertz, obviously 2 goals and an assist. Big him up for that one. I'm not really convinced on Kai Havertz on a consistent basis in midfield, but I think we can get away with it on occasion, provided Odegaard kind of is the middle link between the defense and obviously the midfield. Kai Havertz runs in behind. Kai Havertz, for me, is the second best player at Arsenal Football Club in terms of off the ball movement. And he might be third. I think he's second. I give Martin Odegaard first place because, you know, that guy could find space in a phone box. Then I would probably extend that to Bukayo Saka, if I'm completely honest with you, because if you look at some of the goals Saka has scored, you know, who is it? There was one goal, he shifted it last season. I'll find that he shifted in from the right-hand side. He's taken the ball across his body and he's rifled a shot. It might have been West Ham people. And then I would say Kai Havertz, really and truly, in terms of off the ball, man. But for me, I think we need a central midfielder, whether that's Merino and in addition, I don't think we can get as far as we can. Let me know your thoughts, because big up you lot, that was part of my live stream with Dan Potts earlier. Make sure you're following him and check that out after. So one of you made a question, forgive me for forgetting your name. You was like, you made something along the lines of, I believe we can win the league without a striker, provided the midfield's sorted. And it made me think, if we fixed up the midfield and we didn't get that striker, if we had whatever top level striker you guys want or think can take this to the next level and the same midfield, where would you be with that? The goal against Nottingham Forest is up there, but it does kind of illustrate the point, but that's not the one I'm referring to. I actually think he smashed it with his right peg, really. I think if something happens to Martin Odegaard, in terms of on the ball, Kai Havertz isn't the 10 I want to see, but I think in terms of off the ball, Kai would probably play there. So yeah, man, I think Kai Havertz did well. I think we found a somewhat solution around enhancing what Kai's good at and what he struggles at. I don't think Fabio Vieira did well enough, in my opinion. Yes, it's pre-season. Yes, he's playing on the right-hand side. I'm not advocating to get at him and all of those kind of things there, but I just don't, you know, it might as well be a Champions League final for you. You know, you need to show Mikel Arteta, whether it's up front, right wing, number 10, 8, you could be utilised. And if nothing worse, make yourself like Trossard. Trossard deserves to start a lot more games, but it's disingenuous, but he's almost a super sub. Like, if we could have players of that caliber, you're laughing. Obviously, Saliba, Gabriel, Benjamin White, Raya, they did their thing. They weren't really asked to do anything defensively. I do think the Leipzig keeper's terrible, if I'm honest with you. But all in all, step in the right direction. Big up Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly and the young players. They keep enhancing their reputation and doing what they're doing. I don't know if I mentioned it, but big up Gabriel Jesus as well. Other than that, it's a good game. We step forward to Lyon. Hopefully we see Timber back. We get to see Calafiori. I personally think Mikel Arteta is either going to go very strong against Lyon or very weak. And I only say that because obviously we played yesterday on the Thursday, right? Off the back of traveling and what we've been doing in pre-season, and other players, have had more minutes or less minutes depending on, if you participated in any summer competitions. But like we played on Wednesday, right? Obviously, it takes about 48 hours to recover from a professional game. So that takes us to Friday. They're probably going to train on Saturday. Then you're going again on Sunday, in which he might go strong in that and say, you know what? Last preseason game, let's get some minutes next week, as in next week coming, we focus on Wolverhampton, people. I think Fabio did okay yesterday, but you can tell he doesn't like playing there. He's not motivated when he's playing right wing ever. I wouldn't say he's not motivated, but I don't think he's a right winger. But at the same time, I don't think Mikel Arteta believes that. But from what I see of when we see Fabio Vieira, I think that Mikel Arteta believes you can play right wing. You've played there a couple of occasions. Dare I say, he's probably played on the right-hand side for Arsenal more than he's played in the 10 or in the 8 role. So Mikel Arteta sees you as someone that can do that. He sees you as someone that's obviously a versatile player. And yeah, it's difficult if, whether you're going to play on the right-hand side as a 10 or as an 8, you ain't getting a run in the team, if I'm completely honest with you. But you've got to do something, if I'm honest. I like Fabio Vieira, but for me personally, I think this season, I need to see something, man. If I'm still saying these things next year, there's issues in that regards, man. What else have we got? Big up DG. Surely he's going with his starting 11 for game week 1. Thought we looked good yesterday. It's difficult, man. It's difficult because I think if Calafiori gets some minutes against on Sunday and has a good week of preparation, he might start against Wolves. Obviously, Timber, again, he might be good for Wolves. We're treading carefully there. I don't know where Partey's fitness is. Obviously, there's Tomiyasu. If I had to guess right now what could probably be the strongest, not even strongest 11 or the starting 11 for Wolves, I would say, obviously, Raya in goal, Gabriel Saliba, Benjamin White. I actually think Zinchenko at left back. Again, a lot can change. Zinchenko probably at left back. In midfield, something tells me I want to say Partey, people. Something says Jorginho, probably, Jorginho, Declan Rice, Odegaard, or very well Kai Havertz could be there. But does he go Declan Rice, Havertz in that quote unquote unofficial 8, Odegaard in the 10? Trossard deserves to start and play off the left. Obviously on the right, Saka, and that would mean Jesus playing through the middle. Thoughts on Lee Gunner's latest tweet? It's brilliant. Big up Lee, but I haven't seen it. Man City ruined football. But yeah, I'm not sure if they did. I hate Fabio Vieira. That's a harsh comment to say you hate someone. That's a strong word, man. Very strong word. This team is a disgrace. Arteta out. I mean, just hopefully Arteta can prove you wrong, man. Arsenal had a bad season last season. Hopefully they can do one better, my dude. Arsenal had enough to win the title last season without the need of an elite striker. I hear that, and I do think you're right, if I'm honest, to a degree. But at the same time, and you could have an elite striker and not kill games. But I look at, the game against Spurs at the Emirates was frustrating in many ways, but we should have killed that in the first half. We had a couple of chances. Maybe a clinical striker bags that. West Ham at the Emirates, maybe somebody bags that. The December period, it's the Premier League that we're talking about. But in the FA Cup, remember when we played Liverpool at the Emirates and ultimately we lost. We went out the competition, but we should have scored goals. So I agree and I disagree, man. I think personally people are kidding themselves if they say a striker wouldn't go amiss. The only way I look at it, we can get away without a striker is, big up Trossard and Martinelli. They should still play. But if we not copy Liverpool, but Liverpool, Firmino scored some vital goals, great player, all of that stuff, but isn't necessarily a clinical bagsman. But you had Mane and Salah either side. If we get someone that can do what Bukayo Saka has done for the last few years and we assume goals again on the left-hand side, then I think we can get away with that to a point. If I'm honest, Arsenal, a boring team. Boring football wins titles. Hopefully we can do a thing there, man. We need someone up front and in midfield who can win games. That isn't in our grasp sometimes. What do you think, DGS? I'm with that. I you know what? If you offer me a top-level midfielder, and I say that subjectively, of course, we'd love Bruno Gomares, all these guys. But if you got me a level raiser in midfield to go with what we've got, I would prefer that than a top-level striker. And again, I want both and things like that. But I just feel we've got some decent options in the final third, even though I'd like probably 2 players. I think defensively, was spoilt for choice with, you know, whatever people have to say, with Zinchenko, with Calafiori, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Benjamin White, Tomiyasu, such as our quality there. I've probably missed someone else out. On paper, we know Ramsdale's days are numbered, but on paper, Ramsdale and Raya are there as well. You know, the midfield, we've got good options. Don't get it twisted. Declan Rice is cold. Jorginho and Partey do their thing, but can we bet on them for 38 games? God forbid, but you have to look at durability. Now, players have been injured. People get injured. It's part and parcel of the business. But unless something mad happens, Odegaard's going to be ever present. Benjamin White's going to be ever present. Declan Rice is going to be ever present. You know, Saka is going to be ever present. And there's a couple of exceptions to the rules. How many can you say about that, especially in the middle of the park? Well, it is. Well, if Timber's fit, I'd have him at left back instead of Zinni, but I agree with that lineup. DG, I would, of course, if Timber's fit or Calafiori, but I want to see them at left back against Wolves. But I don't know for Calafiori's status. It seems like we're easing him in. Timber, again, I guess we have to tread carefully with the ACL. I think the club are not convinced personally on Thomas Partey's full fitness as well. So there's a lot of question marks, man. But again, a week is a very long time. Things can happen. Add Merino, Zubamendi to midfield for the price of an elite striker, along with a decent winger, then Arsenal in a good place. I would love Zubamendi. It seems like he's getting Liverpool, though, my bro. Big up DJ. I agree with them saying we may not need an elite striker, but I think the big thing for me is we need strength in depth, especially for Saka. Need others for a different type of play. I'm with that. I'm going to be bold here and say we will, I think you mean win the first 5, God willing. God willing indeed. Saliba and Gabriel will be ever present. There you have it. There you have it as well. You know, they're ever present. People have had knocks, but how many players in our team are going to be like that? We need more depth. And again, the window isn't closed. We need to be careful with smash the like button, people, drawing conclusions. But at this moment in time, on the 8th of August, with a week to go, more or less, until the season starts, have we got stronger numbers? Have we got more strength in depth? Not necessarily are we a better team, but have we got stronger numbers? Especially now that I know these guys weren't involved mainly last season, but Smith Rowe's gone. That's a body gone. Nelson and Eddie and Ketty are, based on reports and what's actually happening, there isn't anything imminent. If they go without bringing people in, we ain't got enough numbers, man. We ain't got enough numbers. Why has Arsenal's transfer window been so bad? I wouldn't say bad. It looks like Moreno could be coming in. You've got Calafiori. We're getting a move on where outgoings are concerned. I default, obviously, you've had the Euros and the Copa America. Of course, I would love to have followed up the last 2 years where, you know, what, Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, David Raya, Timber, Declan Rice, if I haven't said that, Gabriel Jesus, if I haven't said that. These guys were in early. Big up Lewis Skelly and Ethan, man. We got to take our time, but, you know, you keep doing your thing. You're going to be good options. And, you know, Miles, considering you can play centre midfield as well as inverted left back, you know, you never know if Tomiyasu and Zinni aren't here forever. There you have it. And I look back in hindsight now, obviously, by trade, Miles Lewis Skelly is a midfielder, you know, learning to play this inverted role. You look at someone like Waters, who is a bit of like the Timber and Tomiyasu mold in that they can play all across the back four. You know, he can play right back, you can play centre half and left back. I wonder how much Arteta thought about, you know what, Lewis Skelly at left back, in my opinion, is better suited to that role than Waters. And one does wonder, especially if we don't bring in a winger and Nelson. Well, Nelson would probably stay, but if he goes, Koza could have got an opportunity. Is Moreno definitely coming to Arsenal? Based on reports, it seems like it's happening, but I can't come out here with chest and say it's happening. I don't know. Mikel Arteta, Edu, don't know what's happening. And what I always say, what's said in the media and what's actually going on in the footballing world, 9 times out of 10 don't always correlate. And I always say, like a lot of you, until people are holding shirts and scarves and doing things of that ilk, I kind of tread carefully, man, and just take time with it, if I'm honest with you. Nelson, I believe, will stay. At this moment in time, Nelson will stay because it don't seem like there's forthcoming offers. You know, Ornstein came out early summer doors and said he's made it clear to Arsenal he wants to leave. It looked like the West Ham thing could go somewhere. They could come back in for him, but then they went and got Somerville from Leeds. Leicester tried to inquire. Apparently, they ain't got the budget for such. You never know, you know. Things can progress very quickly as clubs do other business. Nelson might have offers to field. You'd imagine there'd be some loan offers, but would it make sense to sell Nelson? I personally believe yes and no. I think would it be far-fetched to assume Fabio Vieira is ahead of Nelson where right wing is concerned? Nelson is a good player, clearly a good lad and all that stuff, but the minute everyone was fit last season, you weren't in the match day squad. But at the same time, we need a body, and Nelson has shown he can be a body. So is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Again, Nelson is under contract for a long period of time. So the club have a quote-unquote position of strength, man. Vieira must step up this season, big up the members, or he has to go. He's holding the squad back, in my opinion. Would have also said Kivio and Zinni, but we have Calafiori. Bit harsh to say he's holding it back, but I think, you know, as the squad progresses, it's sink or swim. Unfortunately, Smith Rowe drowned, Tierney drowned, Ramsdale, you know, drowned. Harsh examples. You got to keep doing your thing. Ethan is Smith Rowe replacement, man, is a baller, needs more minutes this season, and I hope he gets it. But at the same time, when is he going to get those minutes? I do expect him to have some sort of I won't quite say breakout season, but a season of significant first team progression. You're not going to, you know, you might get some minutes off the bench, which isn't bad, but we're fighting for a league title. So I'd imagine the more senior players are going to play, but they're doing all they can, really. He's looking better. I still think he needs to work on taking less touches, but the things that Ethan needs to improve on is something that a 17, 18-year-old should be, just like with Lewis Skelly. And also, I think people need to understand they're physically growing for one. They're going through puberty and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, obviously, if this was a Premier League season and we assume that these lot played 90 minutes against Leverkusen and we're playing on the Sunday, or we got 3 games in 10 days, 2 games in a week, it's a lot for any footballer to recover quickly, much less a young player. So we have to take time. But in terms of the technical level and all of these kind of things, they're doing what they can. And that, you know, Arteta hasn't exactly, you know, been in a rush to give Hayland players opportunities. So if you are getting chances, keep doing your thing, man. Shout out my guy, Riley. DG, do you think Ethan has more potential than ESR? 100%. I think that Max Dolman guy is 14, Ethan and Miles, they could do things for this football club. But we need to take time. Sorry, DJ, I was just overreacting because we are not signing Merino and we didn't win the league last 2 seasons. Fair enough, my guy, man. We all over exaggerate at times. That someone is Nico Williams. It seems like he's waiting for Barca. I mean, would love to sign Nico Williams, but it seems like it's a myth. Zinchenko is going to be eating bench. Jesus hopefully has a good season, as long as that's not at the expense of Kai Havertz playing in the 8. I hear that, but how? But then again, how do you get Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz in the team at the same time? Because again, big up Dan Potts. He made a great point yesterday of Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, their link-up play last night. But how do you get them both in the side? Obviously, you could play Jesus out wide. That has ramifications for whether Martinelli or Trossard's playing. You could play Kai Havertz in midfield. I'm actually in the process of doing a video on this, actually. And make sure you're following on the other channel, people. Big up to the 100 odd of you that have, you know, already followed DG Sports Views. But yeah, I think you can get away with the Kai Havertz in midfield thing on occasion, but I don't want to see it on a persistent basis. I hope to be proven wrong in that regards, man. Zinni's going to be holding bench. I mean, to be fair, with Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, I think personally we need to take a leaf out of Man City and Man City's book. Utilize them as rotation option players. It's like sometimes we will take a striker that's like Giroud. He's good to have as a facilitative kind of forward and he can score vital goals. But we were looking at him to score 20-odd league goals. There's a reason he thrived in the French team. He thrived at Chelsea and obviously did his thing at Arsenal. We do this. We take Gabriel Jesus, who's a rotational option, and we try and make him the main man. Sometimes we need to stop doing that, man. I think Zinni has more of a role this season than people think. He's going to have a big role because it seems like he wants to fight for his spot. With 2 years left on his deal, it doesn't seem like, and things can change, doesn't feel like he's got any offers at this moment in time. As much as Zinchenko's shaky defensively, there's a lot of qualities he has in the middle and final third, and he could be utilised in the squad, man. DM Rice, centre mid Odegaard, Cam, Kai, Jesus striker. I hear that. I don't believe Nico Williams is ultimately that much better than Martinelli. World Cup as gas people. I think you mean the Euros, but I hear the point. I mean, I'm listen, we signed Nico Williams. I'm all for that. Big up DG, been back in the motherland. Big up the motherland, man. Hope you're doing well, man. Big man, what happened to the show with the madam? She knows Arsenal. You got to ask Jess, man. Big up Jess. You got to ask Jess, man. The what do you call them things there? The schedule's got to correlate, man. I'm sure we'll get back to it. If Arsenal don't win the league, Arteta has to get sacked. I don't think that will be the case. I do think context is key. I do think, you know, the conversation has, for me anyways, this is just my opinion, in terms of the rebuild and all the things we've wanted to see during the Emirates era at Arsenal, big up the club, including Mikel Arteta, everyone, that's great. The conversation is now shifting, can he get us over the line? Obviously, there's context. I know people don't want to hear it, and I'm not saying he should keep his job, but if you finish second again, if the exact same season kind of happens, I don't think he'll lose his job. I personally think, you know, he's going to sign a new deal. It's like an approach of too far to turn back, which I'm not saying is the best approach or the worst approach, or I'm necessarily for that. That's just what I believe, man. Big up Boston, smash the like. Big up the mods, man. Everyone in our team, I think you mean, has a role to play as we're trying to win. Everyone's got a role. You look at Zinchenko and Jesus at City, especially Zinchenko. I'm sure there was a year you was a marginalized fixture in the team, figure better yet. And in the last kind of campaign, I'm sure there was a game against Aston Villa. He basically won that for himself on his own. Moreno, not in the Sociedad squad, apparently physical. Something smells, something will happen. You never know. It is that time of the season where people, or of the window where people start capping, telling little white lies and things of that ilk. People keep your conversations and whatnot coming, people. But simultaneously, let's see what's currently concerning our football club. There's a bunch of things. Admittedly, they're kind of scattered. Mikel Merino's move to Arsenal from Sociedad has stalled, with Romano, the football transfer news reporter, having exactly explained what the delay is. Now, we're going to go through everything, trust me. Romano said, for now, my understanding is that negotiations continue. It's still all verbal with no formal bid, but for sure Moreno is waiting for Arsenal to complete the agreement with Sociedad. It's also about payment terms with the structure, more things to follow between the two clubs. Moreno wants Arsenal, so it's just on the clubs now. Hopefully that is the calm before the storm. Again, Mikel Arteta, on Timber being out, said he had a little discomfort in his foot the last few days. After the time he's been out, we didn't want to take any risks. I'm all for that. One-time Arsenal target Zubamendi, you would have seen the Romanos, the Ornsteins, and everybody else speaking about it. Apparently, Liverpool remain confident of signing Martin Zubamendi, with talks ongoing as reported earlier today. Wonder why Arsenal are not for that, and I wonder where Barcelona, Arsenal, Bayern Munich failed. What have Liverpool said to convince him? Fair play to Liverpool, though, in that regards. On that, Zubamendi has been called up for Real Sociedad's next game while Liverpool tried to convince him. Mikel Merino has not been called up, as Arsenal talks are still ongoing, advanced, but with deal structures / payment terms to clarify. And all that, if there is rumours of him being out physically, unless he's injured or had a setback or not come back in the right condition, I hear all of that. Smash the like button. But these two probably had the same amount of time off. They were both participating at the Euros, which Spain won. So it does appear, a bit like when Smith Rowe was left out of the squad versus Nelson and Nketiah actually playing, that there could be something imminent where Moreno is concerned. Whether that's true, I don't know. Once again, Liverpool are exploring a deal to sign Martin Zubamendi. I'm hating. I hope it doesn't get done. Apparently, Arsenal is making significant efforts to secure the transfer of 25-year-old Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen. Despite strong interest from Chelsea and PSG, the Gunners remain in the race for this talented player. Whether you believe that is or not is another thing. Personally, I'm quite pessimistic. Sociedad are resigned to losing Zubamendi, and they believe Zubamendi is also very attracted to the idea of joining the Premier League side. And he's going to be like Xabi Alonso, his hero. For the Nico Williams hopefuls, Barcelona offer Nico Williams a much higher salary than that he earns at Athletic. They're convinced that the player will end up accepting their offer. So it's the calm before the storm there. We've gone over the Timber business. Allegedly, Arsenal are considering swapping Aaron Ramsdale for Wolves goalkeeper Dan Bentley in a shock deal. Now, this is BS, really, because you're better off just buying the guy, unless we say you essentially give us Dan Bentley for free, and you lot covered the majority of Ramsdale's loan, and he goes to you lot on loan. It doesn't make sense. Respectfully to Dan Bentley, if they're saying they want £1 million and Arsenal are saying there's an asking price for 30 all the way to 50 million for Ramsdale, it doesn't make sense. We'd be short-handing ourselves. Wolves apparently see Ramsdale as a replacement for Sarr, so put out some cash, man. Or let's do a swap deal for Ramsdale and Neto and do something in that regards, man. This just seems like West, so I'm not going to bore you lot with that. Is there any other emerging news on this website? Again, silly season upon us. Let's close that and move on. Okay, we've gone over that already. I got the same thing twice. On Eddie Nketiah, and apparently, actually, Marseille, before we carry on, apparently they're submitting a second bid for Wahi from Lens. Obviously, he's a striker. They're trying to buy Eddie Nketiah. So if they moved on from the Eddie Nketiah thing, I don't know. But for what it's worth, Arsenal are understood to be more flexible in their evaluation of Nketiah now, and have accepted the door for the player to leave for Marseille. Now in Marseille's hands whether to move forward or not. Now, if we let Eddie, Nelson and Smith Rowe go, surely we bring a winger and a striker in. I think Eddie Nketiah needs to go. I think it's the best for all parties. But when you break it down, Kai Havertz is quite durable, but you would imagine there's occasions he's going to need a rest, right? Obviously, Gabriel Jesus, we hope he stays fit. But like Thomas Partey, we've seen that. Surely, did the club see Eddie Nketiah as someone that could step up in that regards? I don't know. Of course, you've got Martinelli and more so Trossard, who can play as false nines. The state of play, apparently Chelsea have turned their attention away from Victor Osimhen, according to reports in Italy, but Arsenal remain in the running to sign the Napoli forward. Apparently he's expected to leave. He's been linked with, clubs in Saudi, Arsenal, PSG, Chelsea. Apparently we're still monitoring Gyökeres. We've been hearing this really and truly. It's quite boring, if I'm completely honest. What's this in terms of transfer news? Manchester City are considering a move for Eze, so we can forget about that. Allegedly, Arsenal have reignited their interest in Rafinha. Don't really see that, if I'm honest with you, because he primarily plays on the right-hand side. You're going to be second fiddle to Saka. Saka can play on the left, but are we going to move Saka for you? Dani Almo signing for Barcelona, so we can forget about that. Liverpool to rival Arsenal for Zubimendi, but it seemed where Arsenal have been linked to Zubimendi, it feels like our case is shot. So I think the article's remixing stuff. Big up Smith Rowe for the Fulham move, but you're irrelevant now. We've gone over that. Moreno could happen this week. Same old, same old. Williams is keen to stay at obviously Bilbao allegedly. Julian Alvarez, who was linked with us, went to Atletico Madrid. So that's where that is. We've gone over there as a thing briefly there, folks. What else have we got? Let's close that. See, I'll try not to miss a beat for you. I got there the same things twice. Arsenal ramps up Victor Gyökeres transfer pursuit after Victor Osimhen decision. Arsenal is on the lookout for a new striker and has been heavily linked with the Sporting Lisbon superstar Gyökeres, who scored a remarkable 43 goals last season. Even if he bagged half of that, where would we have been in the table, man? Turn some L's into draws, some draws into victories. Zubimendi's overrated, but DG, please, can you dismantle how odd it is that rivals seem to want Arteta gone more than us? Are they scared of him? It's odd and funny. Agendas are going to agenda, my guy. I would swap Ramsdale for Neto. Yeah, the damn Bentley thing don't make sense. Did watch the mistake again. Trossard got nutmegged and Lewis Skelly was out, but not going to blame him. He even unaware, no talk, but both are kids and need to learn from these mistakes. There you have it. Big up yourself, Roger. I heard the issue stalling the Moreno transfers that if they sell him without requesting him to leave, then Sociedad have to pay 5 million euros as it's in his contract. So that obviously has ramifications for Arsenal. They want to break the difference, but at some point, something's got to give. He's got a year left on his deal, really and truly. He's going to leave for free, or indirectly, he could agree a free transfer with Arsenal in January. I know that doesn't help us, but yeah, Nico is I still like Martinelli pacey, but lacks final product. I do think Nico Williams is slightly more refined than Martinelli, if I'm honest. But yeah, apparently we're pushing to get Gyökeres done before the transfer deadline. I personally don't believe this, but according to reports in Italy, Arsenal is active on Gyökeres and not Napoli's Osimhen. Both Arsenal and Chelsea have been suggested as possible landing spots for the latter striker in recent weeks. But for the Gunners, securing Gyökeres following his impressive debut season with Sporting Lisbon in Portugal seems to be the strategy ahead of the new Premier League season. Gyökeres, 26, netted an impressive 43 goals and 50 games for Sporting last season after transferring from Championship side Coventry City. Last year, it was revealed that Sporting had opted to decrease Coventry's sell-on percentage, leading to rumours that the Portuguese heavyweights were prepared to capitalise on Gyökeres' high market value. So we'd have to see, really and truly, but I don't think that can get done without outgoings. You would have seen throughout the week, Carl Hein is set to join Real Valladolid on loan. The young goalkeeper needs to go and play football. On California, Mikel Arteta said, in regard to Ricardo, so much happened to him in 1 week. He's come into a new environment with a different morphology and different training. So we're managing him and we want to do it slowly in the best possible way. Hopefully he'll be available to play some minutes on Sunday. So again, Sunday can change and, you know, obviously, but this doesn't sound like someone that is going to start against Wolves on Saturday next week, which a week is a long time. On Gabriel Jesus, and I said, if he doesn't get 15 league goals, this channel is no more. The first feeling when I saw him this summer is something's different. I could sense it. The energy from Gabriel was different. The way he looks is different. The way he moves is different. He looks good. Listen, my channel's life depends on you doing your job, man. Bruno Gomorrah said, I'm very happy at Newcastle. I never said I'd like to leave. I've always said I'd like to put my name in the club's history. I can't wait to do my best for the club and fans. So yeah, that one there's quiet. Apparently, Man United are still negotiating with Arsenal over a compensation fee for Chido Obi Martin. I feel like something's being missed here, people, if I'm honest with you. Arsenal have a greater sense of urgency to tie up the deal to lure Mikel Merino to the Emirates after his Real Sociedad teammate Zubimendi is edged closer to joining Liverpool. Just get the deal done, man. If it's that doable, get it done for me, man. I feel like I'm missing something, if I'm honest with you. Let me go into my bank, essentially. We've gone over the Zubimendi thing. Oh, Romano spoke on Eddie Nketiah. That seems to be it. Essentially, let's go there and change that. Let's see what Romano has said on Mr. Edward. Arsenal are open to rediscussing terms with Marseille after initially rejecting a 27 million euro bid and asking for 35 million euros plus a sell-on clause. Now they can be open to discuss and negotiate a different structure. The precise asking price is not something clear yet, but the two clubs have been in touch again, and Arsenal can be open to discuss terms with Marseille. Nketiah had already agreed on personal terms, so no issue there, and it's now on the clubs to reach an agreement, which hopefully we can do that, really, because it helps us out a lot, people. Should we see exactly what Mikel Arteta said in his press conference? He said we raised our level, people. He said, I'm very pleased, obviously, with the result because it's what we want, but especially with the performance against a really strong side with really good players who are extremely well coached. They gave us problems, but we found so many solutions, so it was a real test today. I think Arteta's capping a bit. We were given no problems in against Leverkusen. Not only we as a team, but individually, I think we raised another level today. Fair. I think there are so many players that played in some really good moments. We made a lot of changes and struggled in the second half with organisation when we made those changes. But it was great to see our academy players again playing for the first team and playing with the personality that they did. There were a lot of positives. The commitment that we showed, the determination, the attitude to play our game and to respect certain things that they were doing, that they wouldn't have restricted us to do something that we do normally and to be able to adapt to it. Then we had opportunities to be ourselves and be very clinical. I think we did that really well. And then he said, people, I think it was a full house again, so it's great to be back. I could feel that the players were really desperate after being in the US to play at home. On Sunday, we've got another one, and hopefully we are going to get the best support in the last game before we start the season. We are excited. Fair play to you. Moving that, what has Mikel Arteta said in every part of his press conference? Romano mentioned Merino with Zubameni. I think we covered that. DG, is our boy Martinelli going to sit there and let Trossard eat his lunch again? Not looking good. It's a long season, man. It's a long season. I did see the pickpocket thing Arteta did. He's a mad bastard, did it? But you've got to be, there's a thin line between being a genius and a madman. We've spoken about the positives. We've kind of gone over Calafiori and Timber. On Declan Rice and Saka, the season starts in 9 days. So they have to be ready. This is the demand that they have right now. So we'll look after them every day that they're with us. When we have the ability to give them days off, we do. And we give them days off before the Euros. We have given them the rest they needed. The best thing to do is look at their faces and see the spark in their eyes because they don't want to miss it. They know how hard it is going to be to come back. On whether he'll ease them in, they will tell us. You throw them in and we'll see how they deal with everybody. But they certainly want to be involved. On our Halem boys, Miles, Lewis, Skelly and Ethan, if they continue like they're doing now, there's no difference whether they come from our academy or we sign them from Germany, Argentina or Italy. They're showing the quality that they have, the personality that they have to play at this minute. Let's see. Why would we put any restrictions? If they deserve minutes, they get minutes. There were a few actions that he did really well. A few he has to understand a bit better, especially the focus and the attention these games demand. He really wants it when speaking about Lewis Skelly. On the understanding developing between Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz, which I think was very good, people. I think it's something you can see coming. It's natural. It flows. There's good chemistry between them. And as well with Leao, the three, they have that false nine profile. I really like what I saw. And that's true. You know, I don't think any of them, more so Kai Havertz is the most likely to stand and act like a traditional striker. But none of them are like that. Kai wants to drop deep. Gabriel Jesus wants to be everywhere. Trossard will invert at times and do what he's doing. So it was fine, man. The left-hand side really cooked, especially in the build-up to Zinchenko's goal. And I know we lost to Liverpool, but I liked it off the left-hand side there. Maybe it's a reaction because, you know, we're probably going to sign Moreno. If we sign a winger, they're more likely to play on the left than the right. And obviously there's competition for places at left back. I just care about being less lopsided, man. We need that balance back. He then said on Trossard and Havertz, you have to be very sensitive to read the information that the players are giving you individually. The chemistry they have within the unit, how things flow one side and the other is certainly something that we can still develop, especially on our left-hand side. So there you have it. Those combinations are giving us options. They are all really, really good players. So the competition is quite big here. On Gabriel Jesus looking back to his best, I think we've gone through that. But he did say now it's about finding that consistency and doing it in any context, against any opponent, against any formation, any day, every 3 days, for 90 minutes, 30 minutes, for 70 minutes. If you are to produce in those circumstances, it looks good. On Zinchenko, he said, sorry, am I still here? I thought I hit the mic. Apologies. Obviously, he's played in midfield, but the main focus for him right now is playing as a fullback and the options and solutions he provides in that part. He knows the quality that he has. He knows the things he needs to improve. He's another one that is really at it. Odd Eddie and Nketiah being linked with a move away. We cannot talk about things like that. He played some minutes today. He's a player that's given so much. We really like him. At the moment, there's nothing to discuss, which is true. There is nothing to discuss beyond the obvious. On whether he's had conversations with Aaron Ramsdale around playing time, it's the same situation with all the players. Everyone wants to play. I have to give those options. They have to earn it, and there's no difference to Nketiah. I hear that, Arteta, but you're a bit harsh, you know. You couldn't give, you know, you didn't give him his last little run out against Everton. You couldn't have got 45 minutes against Leverkusen. And if you don't get minutes against Lyon, personally, I think that says everything really and truly, man. So that seems to be that. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Top content from a top creator. You're far too kind, my dude, man. The pickpocket story is funny. Arteta should take that. Bro, Arteta is a madman. Arteta's a and you got to be a madman and do all of these things. That really and truly. I think if we get a winger, we should get Coleman over Sane. Guy's a baller, but would rather get Neto personally. Sane or Coleman. I think Coleman's more techie and there's more like gears to his game than Sane. And I know Sane's got his fair share of injuries, but Kingsley Coleman don't fill me with confidence in terms of seeing him. Obviously, he's a good player. He's French. It seems like, you know, you're more likely to get Kingsley Coleman from Bayern than Sane, because it seems like they're open to loading him out with an option to buy or an obligation to buy. But let's see his injury stuff. Pardon me, maybe I'm being harsh, but that's why I don't really buy the Neto links as much as I want him. I think there's an admiration for him, but durability, you know, beyond the obvious with Declan Rice and Kai Havertz, you know, and more time, half of the players at the club, it seems like not being injured. And again, injuries can strike and happen to anyone. It seems like we're trying to move away from that. Like Jorginho picks up his fair share of knocks, as does Tomiyasu, as does Zinchenko. Partey, we've been here, but Gabriel Jesus was fairly durable until what we saw at the World Cup. But it seems like we're moving away from that. And yeah, man, as you can see here, I think this is a myth, man. Like Kingsley Coleman is a myth, man. I don't think this is the right one for us. On ability, sure, bring him. 100% sign him. Like he's quality on that regards. But really, we really on this, people. Cool. Like, bro, he's got like 3 pages of injuries. We're really on this. On ability, I'm having him. If Arteta grabs him, cool. And he would be good off the left-hand side. But let's be nice to him and focus on the last 2 seasons. Even in 2023-24 alone, adductor, muscle injuries, fair enough ligament tear, torn muscle fiber. This is it's like buying a dodgy car on Gumtree, man. If I'm honest with you, to be fair, we can look at Leroy Sané's as well. But I think Sané is linked with us a bit like Gnabry when he was, and a bit like Kimmich. I think there's a level of admiration. Why is it not going over there? I think there's a level of admiration, but I think it's more because one, Bayern Munich, they're in a bit of a transitional period, and 2, half of these players at Bayern Munich, there's stuff around their futures. Wouldn't mind Matthias Tell, but they'd be crazy to sell him if I'm honest. To be fair, they did sign Elise, so maybe they're open to letting people go. Look, Sané, ironically saying he's injured at the moment. But Arteta did work with him. Well, how do you get to the injury thing again? There we go. Arteta did work with him at City. It could be something. Maybe I'm being harsh on Sané, but his record's a bit mad as well. Look, we won't get at him for having COVID, or having a cold. But the last 2 years, boy, and he's currently had brain surgery, so it ain't really making sense, if I'm honest. So we'll have to see in that regards, man. It's a bit of a dodgy one. Gyökeres, I don't believe it. If you wanted him, you don't get scouts again. I agree and disagree. I agree in that if you genuinely want Gyökeres, throughout the year, you've done your scouting. Maybe, you know, people want to run their eye over him again. I did. When I said that last time, somebody said he's coming back from an injury. So I understand if you want to re-scout. But I agree with you, man. The guys that we're going for already, obviously, there are some market opportunities. But you'd imagine we scouted Calafiori all year. You've looked at Moreno, especially when we was linked with Zubamendi, and considering the fact that Tini was at Sociedad, so we had to have been watching. But yeah, man, I think the job's done. Let's be guided, people. Coleman would be like a blind man gambling in Vegas. Bloody hell. I should have laughed, bloody hell. On ability, he's welcome, but ability can't be anything, can't be everything. And when you break it down, like, I think we've got 2 options. Like, obviously, the Nico Williams, it seems like Arsenal want him. We're going to be receptive to see if we can try a thing. But I think it's more likely he goes to Bilbao or goes to stays at Bilbao, goes to Barcelona, then we get him. So that's him. Neto, I think the injury thing is a concern. And I don't know if Arsenal are keen to pay the price like that's there. We have been linked with Rafinha before. I don't really think that's going to happen. Sané, I personally don't buy it. The Sané Gnabry kind of links, I don't really buy that. Eze can play in a bunch of positions as well as obviously out wide. It's going to take 60 odd million. He's linked with City. So then who else is there? You know, in terms of the Kingsley Coleman, we've gone over that. When you break it down and you look at the household names, that's that. And then you look at the young G's, which I'm not against a Bakayoko from PSV, a young, impressionable guy that Arteta can, you know, iron out the edges. But then you have got Gabriel Jesus that can play out there. I think Ethan is at home in the 8 or in the 10, but as a young ball, he can play out wide. So, and you do have Nelson part of the squad. So I don't think we can afford to end the summer transfer window without a winger or a striker. Both would be the dream. And I don't think we'd be strong enough. I think we've drawn enough milk from the cow up front as we possibly can. Of if I'm honest, and I say that not really believing that. I think Martinelli can get back up to top form. Gabriel Jesus, we hope, does that. Havertz, you hope, maintains his good goal scoring exploits or gets better. You hope Trossard keeps doing the thing. Saka is Saka. We hope he keeps doing the thing. But it feels like we've got, for me anyways, it feels like we've kind of not hit a glass ceiling, but it feels like we've kind of gone as far as we can. Defensively, I think we've got the good options. It's just about those players to just keep improving. Midfield, I think there's personally more questions than answers. So are we stronger going into next season? Don't gamble, kids. Go to bags and take care of your family. Hit the like button still. Yeah, gamble responsibly if you are going to gamble. But yeah, it's probably best to just not gamble, essentially. So then you've got Leroy Sané. Who else is there? What, Pedro Neto, Rafinha, we've gone over that. Sane, gone over that. Coleman, gone over that. Bakayoko, gone over that. There's got to be names. I'm putting myself on the spot. There's got to be... help me out, people. What other names are there? Kudus would love that, but Myth is at West Ham are going to try and cost us an arm and a leg. Left field choice, but Anthony Gordon of Newcastle. But again, just like if you're trying to buy Isaac and trying to buy Gamares, big money is required, or you can forget about that. Dream chasing would be Rodrigo for me, but again, as you see it there, dream chasing. So then you're like, we were linked with Rashford, Myth, Rafael. We can forget about that. He's going to cost like 100-odd million. Yeremy Pino, good player, and we were linked with him, but did Yeremy Pino not suffer a major injury in the last few years? Moussa Diaby could have been good for Arsenal where Villa bought him, but then in hindsight, he would have cut already. I don't think Doué is a true winger. I think he ends up as a 10 or an 8, but a bit like Dani Almo, he can play out there. I'm sure this guy had a big injury. Quality player. As long as we don't get linked with Ferran Torres and them kind of players again. To be fair, Diaz from Madrid, and he knows he's not going to play significant games, but does he strike you as someone that's keen to angle for a move out of Madrid? So, yeah, he's just coming back from a ligament injury. You hope he comes back, but surely if you were to sign him, you're going to wait for him really and truly to see. And do you know what? There was a lad, ironically, and this is why I kind of believe the Moreno links. It kind of goes back to what we were saying and stuff. Big up yourself, Mac, in the cut. When the fan shows are back, you're back. We were linked with a winger at Bilbao. Where is he? Because it said it in the Athletic. It weren't you. It was you, this 22-year-old left winger. We were linked with this brother. I think he's okay. I've never really scouted him under the eyes. I think he's okay. He's 22 years of age. Current season. It's not going to come up with current season. Let's go to last year. The Athletic name dropped him. But again, we've been linked with Zubamendi. Tini went on loan to Sociedad. Obviously, we're looking to be getting Moreno. So we had to have been scouting him heavily. He's contracted until 2030. So that's a 6-year deal, essentially. At 22 years of age, turning 23. Productivity would have to improve. 153 appearances, 16 goals and 7 assists. Stats on everything. But I think we all agree we want someone that's going to get some numbers for us. If they could get double figures out wide, it would help us out. Obviously, last season, 5 goals and 2 assists in all comps from 39. It's not really a madness there, really. Kubo, decent. I think he's a bit too lightweight, though, man, if I'm completely honest. So it's a techie one, man. It's a techie one. Like, trying to think of other wingers that I think the scouts just have to do their job. Do they have to go Brazil or something? I'm not too sure. Gonna have to. And then obviously we was linked with a 16-year-old who's not a winger, but Gabriel Carvalho was linked with bidding 25 million euros, and apparently Man City have been name dropped as well. Allegedly, his agent's been speaking, and his agent has said more or less that it's nonsense. So it all depends where you're going to go with that, but there's going to be a lot of links. To be fair with you, I don't mind an unknown, unproven winger. They all got to start somewhere, but I would have loved to have gone into this season with a new winger and a new striker or either or and been like, yeah, now you're seeing the propaganda. Like, I'm not saying these things are wrong, but I just think with Arsenal fans, Arsenal content creators, the media language, I think there's no in between. I think you either get mad negative fans or you get kind of lying like Havertz's versatility offers Arsenal valuable weapon in new title chase. I mean, come on now. We know Havertz is versatile. Like we've been knowing that. So it's a bit of a lie, if I'm honest with you. And again, we're in a dangerous game if we do that new season, new hope syndrome. I hope the players can do their thing, but we need reinforcements, man. Or we're gonna have the same old seasons we've had in the last couple of years, if I'm honest. Arteta to join Solanke Chase. I don't buy that. I think, Solanke, we're not going to pay whatever Spurs are projected to pay. So it seems like a quiet news day, if I'm honest with you. We've gone over that. What else is in the world of Arsenal? No one cares about Chido Martin anymore. What's this about Ivan Toney? Oh, this is just Paul Scholes talking. But is he wrong? It's hard to say Arsenal have not got enough goal threat because of the amount of goals they scored, and set pieces were a big advantage. And that's true. If we were to break down the goals, who scored the goals, when the patches of goals happened, because a lot of them came in big games, in big patches, like when we're battering teams. It's not that I do think we can score goals, but you're lying. And obviously, we're still going to be good at set pieces next season. But everybody knows Arsenal are the set piece kings. So every team we play, they're going to try a bit harder in those scenarios. So, yeah, it'd be nice if we could get a 20, 30 league goal bagsman. I mean, Tony wouldn't be the best option, but he definitely wouldn't be the worst. And I would leave Tony alone because, yeah, man. Arda Güler, we can forget about that. Big up Don. Hopefully that's actually, well, if it's not, big him up. But if that's, my guy Don, why not? I keep telling guys, let the scouts do their job work. It's time to be shrewd. Again, obviously, as a fan, you want stars, you want household names, you want to get gas, but everybody's got to start somewhere. And the vast majority of these players that were praising at Arsenal, they weren't necessarily, heralded at the time of signing them as sexy kind of signings, man. Like what? Obviously, Ramsdale's marginalized now, but everyone had a lot to say. Back-to-back relegations. Everybody loves Benjamin White. People were doubting his thing. When we signed Odegaard, the first 6 months, everyone was on to Odegaard. One of the few times I've been right. Who else is there? Half the squad, essentially. So let the scouts do their job. I mean, and at the same time, like, if you can't find a little winger, then we're in trouble. Slightly, we're in trouble. If we can't go and grab a winger, if we can't find someone, I understand the striker thing. Even the striker thing, I'd love to see people do their jobs. And even if we break it down, like, obviously, I want a striker that's going to score goals. But if being a clinical bagsman was what Arteta wants, he said it before. But if being a clinical bagsman was the only requirement to play for Arsenal, Kai Havertz, Eddie Nketiah, who else is there? Kai Havertz, Eddie Nketiah, Gabriel Jesus, they're not leading the line. And you need to, in this day and age, for all clubs, long gone are the days of a striker just standing up front. It's like playing with 10 men. We had that on occasion with Aubameyang. Like, we knew if he weren't scoring goals, we weren't laying it on a plate for him, we're fucked, pardon my French. Let me mod on. So it's a double-edged sword, because you could be a man that gets 20 league goals, but people will say, oh, your heat map, your expected goals, As we've seen with prior to Kai Havertz, his form, more so Gabriel Jesus, you could do all the things well, but not necessarily bag. Because I'll be honest, even with Eddie Nketiah and Gabriel Jesus, there's been games I've seen them score. They've been quite crap. Games they haven't scored, and they've been quite well, but no one's going to really remember that. Where's Don's thing? What's going on there? Oh, there you are. I pinned the message by accident, but yeah, add mod. There you go, bro. Ski. Do your thing. Somerville ain't that good. Young, impressionable. I like him, but yeah, I like the Bakayoko guy, man. Don't rush to trust any account. I mean, as long as he's a mod in the right place. I mean, what can you do, really? I hope it's done, but yeah, man. If it's not, you lot are making me paro. Moreno, an extra set piece threat. It's true, but why can't we, have I know it's what everyone wants, but the best of all worlds in that, we're scoring goals from open play, we're threats from set pieces, the Martinellis, the Trossards, the Sakas, the Havertz, the Jesus, they're all scoring goals, and we've got next guys in. What about that Yilmaz kid? I'm not watching Turkish League week in, week out. I'm not really for it. Someone mentioned Chiesa. I love Chiesa as a player, but again, you can't stay fit. We've got enough of those. I love Partey. I love Tomiyasu. I don't think Zinchenko is the worst of players. I got a big respect for Jorginho. Some are more injured than others, but it all adds up. Even Nelson picks up knocks. I take a punt on Pedro Neto, 35 to 45 million. Are they going to go for that, man? Throw some bread and slap Ramsdale there on loan. Because we've still got a lot of stuff to do this summer. We technically need 2 goalies. Obviously, if Ramsdale stays put, we only need a third choice. We only need the third choice. Evidently, this Moreno thing needs to get over the line, need to get that done. I'm more hopeful of a winger, whoever that is, than a striker. We don't need any more injury-prone players. It's true, but going against my own logic, these man could sign for a football club and never get injured, man. Welcome to the DG gang. Don't hit the like button, people. Let's get to 100 minimum. Diallo, my guy. Yasser Sprila would be a decent option for us. You know what? YouTube's weird because I did a scouting video on that, and that's actually one of my most viewed content in the last couple of days. You know, 1 minute he's going to, where is he linked to? I'm sure he was linked with a club in Saudi. Forgot Ramsdale and Tierney are still at the club. I forgot Tierney was at the club. And even Tierney, like, some reports actually in the last 48 hours said he's going to move on, but he's injured. So where is he going? He's linked with Celtic. I hear that. But unless he takes a significant pay cut, what's going to go on there? Is it a thing where he might just hang around like a spare part until January? I don't necessarily find that. It is hard buying the right players, man. But that's why these men are in the job. And anything can, you know, signings can go well and go wrong. But I like to say, whether we rate these players or not, in the last couple of years, like, we've definitely had some L's, you know, Marie, William, all them kind of players. The list goes on. But, you know, to be fair with us, our success rate has been decent, really. You know, again, whether they are good enough in the roles, I think Trossard's worked out, Jorginho's worked out, Declan Rice has definitely worked out, Benjamin White, Ramsdale, they worked out to a degree, Tomiyasu worked out. I don't know if I said Zinni. Bare signings. I don't really think the Kivio ones worked. If I'm honest with you, I think Kivio is treated by our fans like a little kid. Like, you're forcing it, really. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but you get the point. At this point, can we worry about injury records? I get it plays a part, but at this point, with what's going on in the market, can we bring in someone who can make an impact in the front? I hear that. Say something about the Gyökeres deal, but I've already spoken about what's online, but there's not much more I can say. Allegedly, Sporting want to drop the asking price. Arsenal allegedly have an admiration for him. Whether we need to sell Eddie and Nelson and Ramsdale and bring some money in and tie up the loose ends where Merino and these guys are concerned. Because that's what I genuinely think. I think we get Merino, obviously Calafiori's through the door, get the keeper situation sorted out, get some outgoings, and then I think Arsenal might focus on the wingers and the strikers and whatnot. All we need is a speedster with great ball striking as an alternative to other wingers. I'd love a monster on the transition because our players are good on the transition, but who's really a threat like that? That's why Nico Williams would be great. Because if we can't find a striker, we might as well just take a leaf out the Liverpool book where Salah bringing in numbers, Mane bringing in numbers. You know, Firmino's good for double figures and scoring vital goals, but he's not the guy like that. So you get Saka, you get the other Don, and you keep it moving. Mudryk could have solved that. See, the thing with Mudryk, I don't think he's a bad player. You know, I think he's got the fundamentals, but you see him, he don't look like a Don that believes in himself, if I'm honest with you. And you're a big club like Chelsea, you're in the wrong place for that, really. Like, if you hear he's better in terms of ability than Madueke, but hear the way Madueke speaks and Mudryk speaks. That's someone that believes in himself. Now, obviously, Chelsea has been dysfunctional. You know, there's been times where half the players have been crap. You know, last season, Caicedo's not a bad player. Enzo, he might be racist, but he's not a bad player. If everybody is looking rubbish, there's something wrong there. So, yeah, on one hand, I look at the Mudryk thing and I'm like, yeah, hey, we dodged the bullet. Thank God for that, Chelsea. But you never know. He could have come to Arsenal and stunk up the place even worse than what he's doing at Chelsea. Or he could have been great. And I must admit, Mudryk, in terms of the profile, I am looking at Arsenal funny in that I know Chelsea gazumped us with the money, but based on what I've seen, the money that we was prepared to put down, it could have been an L, really. But in terms of him, for me, he can play off the left and play off the right. He seems like someone that needs an arm around them consistently and whatnot. And not that Arteta can afford to do that, but we've got a bit of stability. We've got the players of tomorrow. I think Mudryk could have worked. I mean, who knows? It could be something to circle, but he's on big wages, under a big contract. And, you know, the new Chelsea manager, I'm sure he wants to work with a lot of these players, but it's not like it's his signing. He didn't bring him in. If he says, you know what, pardon my language, fuck Mudryk, I'm trying to do this thing, then it's peak for him, really and truly. Looks out of place. It looks like he lacks belief, bro. For me, above everything, as much as I'll banter and run bants and whatnot, he genuinely looks like a man that lacks belief. And of course, your confidence is going to be shot. You need time to adapt to the league. You know, in many ways, Shakhtar played the blinder, but you need to have that self-belief, man. You know, you need to believe that you're there for a reason that you can make a difference. So, fortunately, it's not our problem. Mudryk does need his handheld. To be fair, that could be something. I know it's not the right signing, but Grealish, can we do that? Mudryk needs coaching, but at the same time, like, I think you do need that, but the penny's got to drop because how old are you now? You've been at Chelsea for 2 seasons now. You're 23, which isn't young, isn't old, sorry, but isn't young. And Wenger always used to say, 23 is when you know your job. You kind of know what you're about now. Let's be real. Even Zinchenko's wife tried to recruit him for us. He listened to the wrong people. To be fair, I'm not saying he didn't want Chelsea, but it seemed like Shakhtar were just trying to sell to the highest bidder. Chelsea were talking their language. It don't really matter what Mudryk thinks, the agent and all of these guys and funding wars and all of them kind of things. It's above you. Like, you ain't got a choice. It felt like, bro, you need to make this move happen or something might happen. Grealish would be a good signing for us because he can play as a 10. But in terms of numbers, Grealish ain't a numbers man. So it's a myth. Like, you're not going to get numbers. Grealish has never been about numbers, really. Grealish, I wouldn't even be against if Arteta said, you know what, let's give Mudryk an opportunity and you get him at a discount. Not against that. Not against Grealish. Not even against someone like Jeremy Doku. Would love Eze. Would have loved Elise. Would love Eze. But I don't see us spending 60 million buff for that. Pedro Neto wouldn't be against that. Obviously, injury concerns. I don't think we're going to spin the block for that. Not really keen on Barcelona's Rafinha, purely because, you know, even with Mudryk, to be fair, where I look at Nico Williams, Mudryk, Neto, I think there's a fair balance in your performance on the left and the right-hand side. Rafinha would probably more so have to play on the left than the right at Arsenal. And it's not that he can't play there. I just don't think you're that good in that regard. So, but Saka was a main player for us. At the time, we tried to buy Rafinha when he was at Leeds. So obviously, Arteta at the time had to have thought about that. So I don't know, man. Grealish, I would take more than Mudryk. He'd be decent. But again, the wages, Grealish going to be on something serious. Do you think Real Sociedad will let both their starting midfield go with Zubamendi and Moreno? I don't think it's ideal, but if Liverpool activate his release clause and he wants to go, then you're kind of done in that regards. Moreno, again, he's got a year left. So it would be a bitter pill to swallow to see both of them go, two of their best players. And they don't get twisted. Like, you know, Zubamendi could say, I'm staying. We could break down with the Moreno deal, but it seems like you ain't really got a choice, really. You're going to have, and they can't be stupid. Like, they had to have known Moreno's deal's running down. The Sociedad CEO has been saying that. He's had a contract offer for a year. If you ain't signed it, what's going on there? It's mixed signals. Zubamendi's got a release clause, so you're at his mercy, and you had to be open to Zubamendi leaving. Obviously, in hindsight, looks like it's a Liverpool thing, but you was aggressively linked, probably primarily with Arsenal and Barcelona, so they had to be geared for this. Obviously, it's not nice, but you have to get on with it. 100%. He definitely has a talent, but he looks lost in that team. And I must admit, as much as like I'm a bit like Arsene Wenger, I want to, you know, pat a man on the back, pause, give them a bit of love, arm around the shoulder. As much as I feel like that, I feel a bit like Jose in a sense of, God, puff out your chest, do this thing. We haven't really got time. If you want your hand held, go and chat to your mum. We're doing this football thing. Believe in yourself. Football is so much more psychological than people like to make out. You see some crap players play well because they believe in themselves. You hear some players that, some of these players, you hear about how they are in training, how great they are. Some of them you can see got all the technical ability in the world. But if you don't believe in yourself, you're going to play crap. You're playing in front of thousands of people. All your performances are highlighted. Depending on what's going on with the manager, there's pressure. You need to be able to thrive. At the end of the day, you have to thrive. You have to be able to thrive. It's sink or swim. Especially where we're going, man. DG, did you watch the Copa this summer? Not as aggressively, but I was here and there. I wasn't moved by anyone apart from that Richard Rios guy. Salvio looks decent. He would have been good for us, but like you said, not sure about the end product. He's young and there's volatility in that regard. So this is what I'm saying. Do you go for, and I couldn't tell you the names, do you go for these Salvios and these kind of, maybe not the best of example, but Jeremy Doku when he was at Rennes, or Bakayoko from PSV, because the kind of top level kind of bracket wingers, it's looking like a myth. Like it's looking like a myth. It really is. I'd love Neto, to be fair. If we could get Neto, I would. Obviously, you're not Nico Williams, but I wouldn't be against it. Big up yourself, K, as well, man. So, honest to God, who knows, man? Like, it's gonna be a techie one, people, man. Like, who knows? Someone spoke about Bitello. Honestly, don't have a clue there. I'm like you lot, man. The only difference is I'm talking on YouTube. I must admit, sometimes I wake up and just pray that we're linked with a new player, just so there's something new to talk about, man. Like, we're always waffling about is Moreno and Williams, and cool, we played yesterday. There's some talking points in relation to that, but it's getting a bit boring, man. So yeah, people, speaking of boring, I don't want you lot to get bored. So yeah, it's been a fantastic hour. Big up to you lot that have been here, and obviously with Dan Potts. I'm going to go off and edit a video in relation to the Leverkusen game, and I must admit, I actually want to do a video breaking down the goals we scored last season. Now that I think about it, how many were from set pieces, who got what, etc. So I'm off to keep working for you lot. Don't forget to follow my second channel, DG Sports Views. We're going to park off our more general football comments there. So yeah, man, big up you lot, people. You lot stay safe, stay blessed. You know, live streams, watch alongs, all that stuff is there. But for now, peace. I might not be a winger, but Arteta shout me.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.